Hello, everyone. My name is Shirley Abraham, and I'm a documentary filmmaker living and working in India. And I'm here today with the team that has brought to life an incredible film called YANUNI, which is now shortlisted for an Academy Award. And YANUNI tells us the story of Juma Xipaia, and she's here with us today. You'll hear from her in just a second. It tells us this incredible story of people who are trying to defend their territory against mining and corporate interests. It is a film that harnesses this elemental power of nature, but also the moral courage of people like Juma who have devoted their lives to preserving and protecting it. I'll introduce Juma just in a couple of sentences. She is what I love is that she is the first woman chief of her people, the Xipaia people. She is also the main protagonist and the producer, one of the producers of YANUNI. And she is a young mother. And she has had an incredible ride with the film, and she's here with us today. Also here with us is Richard Ladkani, an award-winning filmmaker. And on YANUNI, he is the director and also the director of photography. Thank you both for crafting this beautiful film. I love that it talks about the ephemeral and the eternal and just how it expresses our place in the universe. And I just wanted to start with you, Juma. In witnessing you in the film, we are seeing a woman who is reaching for the height of her powers, but she's also very aware of the depth of her vulnerability, of her own frailty. And there is so much grace in you in how you hold both. And you're not a woman who's afraid to cry. And every time you were weeping in the film, I was weeping along with you. And I want to ask where you draw this strength to embrace your vulnerability.
Obrigada, Shirley.
Thank you, Shirley. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you. And I admire India. I love your culture, the beauty, and it's a great honor to be talking to you. Thank you. And I believe that what inspires me and drives me every day is looking beyond my own needs, looking beyond my pains, beyond my concerns, and beyond my quality of life. So being able to look at the injustices that take place, not only against my people or my territory, but there is still, right now, in the present moment, a power of destruction, not only in our territories, but people like myself, people who live in a territory and they don't even know that there is a world outside of the territory, and they don't even know how dangerous it is. So when I go back to my world, I see this world in a very preoccupied way, because it's the end of the culture, the beauty, the naive, and in the consumption and destruction and the speed with which things happen in the world outside of the territory that goes around interest, awards, economy, roles that you have to play. You are only someone if you have a piece of paper, like you're not defined by your origins, by your character. It's the opposite of where I come from. It's the opposite of my beliefs and um, my deepest soul. So I ask myself, is any decision making is drawing me closer or driving me away from my origins and my territory? So I go through the world and I did the film Yanuni, and I become well known outside of my territory more and more. But I ask myself every day, is this worth not only to me, but for my territory, for other peoples? Is this gonna change somehow the lives of girls, of women? So every day I worry about that. Who am I becoming? I cannot I have to continue to be Juma from the forest who loves to fish and to eat and to be barefoot. I never want to lose the essence of of who I am, the way I was created and generated and raised. And so never letting, never I have to look at the past all the time to understand the present and then being able to change the future. So I always ask myself, what else can I do beyond my territory to help? What else can I do so that girls and women stop being raped, stop being murdered? So it's with hope that my children and the next generations can not only resist a war that is very present in our lives, but I really hope that they can exist and benefit from our rights, from our culture, from our families. And this is what I miss the most today. It's being able to live having this experience in my territory, to feel the freedom to bathe in the river, to feel free to walk through the forest, to hear the voices of the forest and hear the sounds of the forest, which is such a wonderful universe and gives a feeling of freedom and happiness and joy that I cannot find anywhere else in the world, in the outside world, with such a depth and spirituality. So I just hope to continue doing what I do, to be able to defend this territory that is not only land, it's a universe of knowledge, of wealth, of spirituality that outside of the territory, most of the people are dormant and they cannot see. And they just look at the forest as a money symbol, as a symbol of currency. And this concerns me. And I know that we don't have so much time. So sometimes I feel tired and I don't want to live the outside life, but it's not a matter of choice. I need to do that. I understand that that's something I need to do. That so even if I know, and sometimes I am scared, but after I became a mother, I understand the fear that my mother feels. I understand her anxiety because now I'm a mother, and today I feel that nervousness, that chill in my stomach for my children, for other children. So it's the entire universe that represents not only people, but especially the forest, the animals that cannot talk to us. But I can do it. I'm here. And I hope that other girls, other women they may get inspired by this and have other opportunities. So I hope to open doors not only for me but for other girls and women from other peoples, young people who may be who they are and get to where they want to, not necessarily giving up who they are or having to leave their own territories and not needing to disconnect from our own essence. So many things inspire me. I could spend a day talking to you about it, but summarizing, the violation of our rights, the injustice, this is what moves me. So always looking at the collective. Sometimes I don't want to, sometimes I want to stay in bed. I just want to be with Hugo. I want to be by myself. I want to be in my cocoon and just stay there. But when I look at so many things that are going on, how many people have the same opportunities that I'm having? So when I look at where I began and where I am today, I don't consider this as a privilege. Oh, how nice, how great. No, it's a purpose. It's a mission. It's not holidays, it's not vacation to me. And there are people who are still in the territory, and this is interesting. I'm here and I feel safe, but when I go back to a reality of threats. So this is not reality to me. This is a moment. But where I go back to, this is my life and the lives of so many peoples. And this is it's not well over there. So there are many things that we still need to achieve and conquer. So this means the work is not done yet. And sometimes I feel like crying and I feel pain, but I know that the fight still continues, and unfortunately, it will continue over the years to come. I don't even know how much time will last, but I wouldn't change anything about what I did. I can just improve what I can do to improve even more the way we can adapt to the world outside and communicate myself. And it's a thread to take me back to the territory and back to the lives in the forest.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for transcending every day these things that hold you back, and yet you go out and keep fighting in the field. We are all such admirers of you for that. Richard, I wanted to expand a little bit upon what Juma said, and I want to maybe think with you about this metaphor of Mother Nature, of Mother Earth. That is, it's a very familiar one, and it is so clear and present in the film. And Juma also embodies that, not just philosophically, but also physically and spiritually and psychologically, emotionally. And I wanted to understand from you how that evolved for you as an organizing principle in the course of making this film.
When I started this project, I'd never been to the Amazon, right? So I'd heard about it. I'd heard about the magic feeling you get when you are in the forest, and I was very curious about it. And it wasn't until much later that I actually experienced it, because when we started filming, we were actually in the middle of the pandemic. So it took some time for me to be allowed to go to Brazil and to be able to travel and to do all that. And I remember the first time when I arrived in her territory, it was just incredible, because you could feel that everything there, everything, not just the trees and the animals, but the rocks and everything around the water, everything is alive. It's one giant organism of nature where billions of life forms exist. And you enter this forest and it strikes you, because you feel that this is something we really need to protect. This is unique, it's become very rare. And that is a feeling that never left me. When you fly, just flying to her territory, you fly for hours, over hours and hours of forest. I mean, you have never seen a forest that large and huge, because it's like crossing an ocean of forest, and the vastness when you look into the horizon and it's all forest. It just does something for you, and this is where you want to become a defender, because once you've seen that, you understand what they're talking about and you feel the spirits of the forest. And that is something that touched me, and it changed me as well. I literally connected, and also seeing Juma's connection to the forest in like live in front of you, like how she walk into the forest in the mornings to find to cure her soul and her pains and her all these crises going on in her life. that's remarkable, and you become attached like nothing else. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's very beautifully and poetically described. Juma, I see you feeling very emotional. What's going on?
Sim,
Yes.
o Richard falando aí
When Richard speaks, hearing Richard speak, it's like a movie is going on in my mind about how powerful it is, this vastness of the forest. This is the way I saw it ever since I was a child. When I looked at the forest, I hadn't seen it from above yet. And the only way for me to see the forest a little bit more from above was to go up in big trees like the genipapo tree. I went up the tree to get some genipapo fruit and do painting. And my brother used to do that, but I love to do that because it was a moment to go up that tree. It's such a big tree, but the branches are not very strong. They break easily. But I was very thin, so I went up the tree like a monkey, and I went up the branches, the higher branch, not to only to get the genipapo fruit, but to be able to have that view, that vision that filled my spirit and my heart. And it seemed that it was endless. And this is how I saw the forest and my territory. And it was so great to see the other colors of the leaves. And it was one of my favorite activities, in addition to bathe in the river and do other things. But after that, when I had the opportunity to fly on a plane for the first time over the territory, and it was exactly that feeling that Richard just described, and it reminded me, and that lasted a few seconds. And it seemed that it was a huge river. I had never seen the ocean, so to me it was like an endless river, a boundless river, a huge river. And it was so beautiful. It was so immense because I knew in my heart that it was like that. This was exactly how I imagined it was like when I was up the tree. But it didn't take so long. And the forest ended. The forest ended, and I saw areas as if it was if you removed all the hair from the head and just a hair, a single tree. It was a single tree, and that was so impactful. And I said, this can happen in my territory. And after, when I had the experience of leaving the Amazon and leaving my territory and go to other territories beyond the Amazon, I saw that it was rarer and rarer to have such a territory that was immense. And I found out that it was like small islands, small territories remaining. And that at that moment, I understood the importance of the work of the leaders, the elders. So all of the legends started to make sense to me. So it was a universe of information that took hold of my body. I don't know precisely how old I was, but I was still a child. I must have been like 10 years old at most, between 10 and 11 years old, when I had that experience for the first time. And always I'm connecting with this feeling because I had concerns in my childhood. And when I look at today, it's no different. And the feeling is the same, but the advance of this destruction is more and more dangerous and powerful. There there's so much funding and so many economic interests that don't want people like me to stand out. I'm not here by myself. It's not my voice, my reality. It's not my film. It is YANUNI is a representation, and we had a lot of difficulty to put it in a film because it lasts like 1 hour and 30 minutes, but we have so much to show the world for thousands of years. So how to summarize dreams, wars, hope, maternity, motherhood, so everything in a film. So it was very complex because I wanted to show since my childhood, since the time Brazil was invaded. I wanted to show everything when I had this opportunity within YANUNI. I wanted to show everything to the world, but this history, it's just a comma in the story of everything, but it's done in a way that it's not only a view to show the impacts, the destructions, the threats, but to show that we are real people, that we are human beings, that we are fathers, mothers, that we feel pain, that we have dreams, that we want to have a normal life in our territory. So it's getting my reality closer to your reality and understanding that we are living in a single planet. It's a single home in a single boat. So we need to care for it. We need respect. We need peace. So this is the feeling that I try to feel and what I felt in my childhood. The vastness of the forest, a lot of peace, the feeling of freedom and of love and care with the earth and the forest and the Mother Earth, not a care of ownership, but of belonging. A care, we need to care for it because we depend on it to survive. And and it doesn't need us. It's the opposite. Mother Earth would be much better without us. But it's a way to protect and to care for the earth that protects us. So this is how I see the territory and the earth and YANUNI, and I hope that we can transcend the barriers not only of communication in the movie theaters, but especially overcome the barriers that prevent people from having feelings, from being able to connect. So transcend the barriers and reaching the hearts and the spirits of people.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I see we are coming up to time, but I wanted to ask the both of you one question each. So two quick questions. Richard, would you say a little bit more about Hugo? He's this, he has the toughness of a man that you normally probably expect out of men who are working as defenders of the Amazon. But there's also that gentleness. Here's also a man who's not in a hurry to occupy the frame, who has a quiet presence, whose strength goes beyond, just his just the work that he does. And I wanted to understand a little bit more about how he evolved as like a foil and complement to Juma.
It's a great question. When I met Hugo the first time is when you see it in the movie where he arrives at the airport, we pick him up, and he actually gives me this feeling like, who's this guy with his camera? Like, what is he doing? I mean, Juma had warned him, there's someone, just ignore him. But I noticed how it was so hard for him, like, this is a guy that works undercover, he's not used to being filmed or recorded at all times. So it was quite a challenge to deal with that for him, but also for me, because I didn't want to intrude. And I must say, it took quite a lot of time for us to find the trust between us. Like, I wanted him to trust me, but that doesn't come with me wanting that, right? It had to be built, that trust. So it took a lot of It took time and patience. And, I learned Portuguese to make this film, especially also so I could, just be intimate and close with them in their house and just become a friend, that they can tolerate and be that fly on the wall.
Oh,
He was always the man of few words, he was always someone who doesn't talk much. He's quite shy, and especially in private as a civilian, he's a man with, just stays in the shadows and gives Juma the space and everything, and he's just, inconspicuous. Don't see me, don't notice me. But oh my God, did that change when we went on a mission? I couldn't believe the transformation when he's in his element and he becomes the commander of this elite force of like Navy SEALs type environmental soldiers. It was unbelievable. Here, suddenly, he was the commander in chief, of like 30 people, highly trained, highly skilled, and he was in charge, and you could see that. And it was amazing to witness this. And why did I want to actually even go with him is because on one side, he is a very big part of Juma's life, obviously emotionally, because whenever he would go, she would be afraid that he wouldn't come home because it's so dangerous. She understood how dangerous it is what he does. And on the other side, she's been telling me about the devastation and the destruction for a long time, but I would never see it through Juma's eyes because she can't even go there. If she goes, she would be killed immediately on site. If an indigenous approaches, they will just hunt him down or her and just kill that person as a witness. So I needed to go with them in order to show what is happening, the poisoning of the rivers, these giant machines, the devastation of the excavators. Through Hugo, I could put a camera there and show what we're talking about here and how this looks. So it was an amazing experience, to also balance this when he comes home, to be a father and to see Tupac, climbing all over him and seeing him as a father figure as well. And the tenderness and the emotion that comes with that. And it was a beautiful thing to see between them. And I was very privileged to be allowed to film, also in intimate moments or when they were fighting, just like they ignored me after a while. The film took many years to make, and I think this time helped us a lot to find the trust and the respect of each other, and also the understanding why am I making this film and what is the potential of getting that story out into the world. I think they started to understand a little bit, and I think especially now that we're here in the US, they understand it more than ever. Because we're talking about the topics that really matter, and now with what's happening in Venezuela, this become more real than ever. Hugo and Juma are talking about it every day, how this forced exploitation, for resources has been their story for centuries. And now it's done by the most powerful nation on earth. And what does that mean for us? Where does it leave us when someone just comes in and takes what he wants by force and legitimizes it by its hours? And so they're talking about this of like, now suddenly everything has become 100 times worse. So it's very significant to show that and to be having that privileged access. And I'm grateful to being here with them today, showing this film to the world.
Mm. Thank you for that. Really appreciated the intimacy of that narrative layer, but also the expansiveness that it allows you. Juma, I have one last question. I was really moved by how you spoke about spirituality in the film, and you spoke about spiritual fatigue that we see amongst us, a spiritual erosion almost. And what is your vision? What is your imagination for spiritual renewal of this world? If you could share that with us.
eu acredito que
I believe that
começa
it starts by
pelo individual.
individual. It starts with individuals.
Pelo individual que eu falo em cada pessoa.
I mean individual, each person. It starts with each person. And why did I reach this conclusion? Because I spent over 15 years of my life trying to work with everyone, with Mid Xingu, region, and I really believe that the Mid-Xingu, that the peoples of the region, not only indigenous peoples, but other peoples, I believe that we could stop the construction of the Belo Monte hydroelectric plant and free the Xingu and be free again. So the feeling that I had at the time, it's as if part of my body had been amputated, as if someone just came and amputated my arm. And the arm was Xingu, the Xingu region. So I don't know how to separate my feeling from what I see, and I feel the pain. So that's why by cutting the Xingu River, it's as if they had cut a limb, my limb, because there's I cannot not feel. There's no way for me not to feel. And when I looked at the rest of the people, not everybody was feeling the same way. Some people, some leaders were negotiating our rights with drinks, with women, with cars, exchanging from material things, and they were exchanging our rights with material things. And I remember when I felt that my spirit was being aggressed, and then I understood that it was a matter, it was a spiritual war, not only in this material world, because everything that was going on in such an impactful way and violent way was changing our ways of life, changing the way we eat our food. It was not only changing the environment and the forest, not only destroying the forest to build a hydroelectric plant. It was tons and tons of industrialized food being sent to our villages, to our territories, and expired food. And I saw that and I told myself, not even 10 years, maybe 5 years for us to become ill, to have disease that don't even exist in our territory. Over the next 10 years, not only will we will become ill, but our territory will have become vulnerable and ill. And today, the worst illness is the impact on mental health of people. It's the way the world outside speaks, the Western medicine, the impact on mental health. But it's not only that. Sometimes people outside don't understand that our mental is our spiritual. So if you're not well mentally, it means that you're not well spiritually. So the impact of these major projects of devastation and exploration, many times they just count the social and environmental impacts. This type of impacts that are accounted for. Human rights, the environment, but the greatest impact that we have today, not only in the Mid-Xingu on myself, but on humankind, is the spiritual impact, because people are more and more distant, being distanced from their family bonds, from the relationship of brother, sister, parents, children, the relationship of a community, relationship of a nation, of belonging. So more and more we have a society that is distanced from itself. People are connected in the Wi-Fi, in their mobile phones, and the phone is replacing all of the means of communication. They are replacing our functions, our basic functions of remembering, to remember to sleep, to eat, to do things, to remember the names the full names of people or to remember someone's phone number. If someone loses their phone, they like lost everything. If you take a phone from a child, it's like you took their childhood from them. But they don't know what to do anymore. They don't know how to play anymore. When you get off from the screen, it's as if you lose your reason to live. It's like you took away the colors and the light. And this is very dangerous because automatically they're taking away our memories. They are taking this from us with all this technology. And I'm what I am today only because I still have my memories alive inside of me. I have the memories that my grandparents conveyed to me. I have the knowledge, this wealth of knowledge, because it was transmitted by a community, by a territory, by many peoples, not through a single person. I had many methods of teachings, many things that I learned to be who I am today. So when I go outside and when I am in the world outside, I see that we are in the middle of a war, that it's not only a material war, it's not only between Ukraine and Russia, not only because the US and Venezuela, but it's a war for many, many centuries that we are experiencing. And I understand today why people don't see that, because it's done in a way for people not to see. When I look at communications today, and for example, communications like in the US, since series, films, everything, it's not the same way as it's conveyed in Brazil. I saw a store, I can say the name of the store, and I saw that we have the same store in Brazil, but it's totally different. The products are different. The products offered are totally different from what they offer in Brazil. And it's like it's the same in other parts of the world. So our communication, it's highly fragmented. The communication that arrives in the United States, it's not the same in Brazil. It's not the same communication that gets to my territory and in other territories. So the way everything is done in the outside world, it's not for us to connect. It's not for us to find ourselves, because when we meet, we want to find our knowledge, other cultures, other means, and this is very strong. And this is exactly what they don't want to happen. And I see that today with the experience of the film. So being in some spaces, after being in some spaces, I felt like an extraterrestrial being. People looked at me not being curious to know who I am, but what is this Indian doing here? So our presence bothers people because it's not only presence. Our existence bothers people because it's knowledge, the way we think and act. It's not only the individual way, it's the collective way, but we have the wisdom that in order to get to the collective, you have to evolve individually. And this is what I learned during all this war. When in the past I wanted to work with everyone and everybody in the mid-shingle, and I got deeply impacted when I saw my relatives negotiating our rights. It's as if my heart had been taken. I felt my heart very violently taken from me. And then I understood after many, many years that I cannot change anyone. I cannot change Hugo. I cannot change the world, but I can change my actions. I can change. I don't want to live in a world of illusion anymore. But now I know that I live in another reality that has a lot of interests. outside. So how can I change? By taking care of my spirit. That's why I need to be in my cocoon. I need to have my own time. I need to listen not only what people are saying, but I need to listen to my what my ancestors are saying. I need to listen to my spirit to have this connection. And then I come back stronger and much more inspired because I know that I'm not alone. So when I go back to the world outside, after recharging my spiritual energy, I can put in practice what I learned. And so those who are close to me, why is Juma doing that? And then you start to understand that people pay attention to you. And I say, well, so I'm going to do that. And then you start doing things. Oh, I could have a completely different life, completely different, completely opposite. But I chose to be who I am. I chose sometimes between talking and doing. But people are like children. Everything that you do, like my Tuma, Yanuni, Tupac, they see what we do. So how should I want my children to defend the forest and the rights if I show them something different? If I just had a lot of jewelry and gold, no, you have to defend the forest and the territory. I wouldn't be a role model for them if I, did that. So putting this spirituality in practice, it's not only changing yourself, but changing other people. Because sometimes we defend the forest because it's important to you. Support indigenous peoples. What we do in the Amazon also reaches India, positively or negatively, but it reaches everyone. What you do in India reaches the Amazon. Sometimes people don't understand, but today I understand how a big tree. It's like a big tree. So wherever I go, I will leave some seeds. I will leave the wind of the universe and spirituality to sow those seeds. When they are going to grow, I don't know. I shouldn't have control over that. But if I sow my vision, I sow the seeds. But where the seeds land, it's a way to connect. But when it's going to happen, it depends on each person who receives this seed. I can't control and I shouldn't control that because this is a big mistake of humankind because they want to control. Because the forest depends on its own time, it doesn't depend on us. So I understand today it's not trying to preach the truth like the church wants to do. I don't want to convert anyone, but being mindful, and this will depend on people. And I see that this is the best way to respect the space, time, and the spirituality of each person because sometimes people are not ready yet. But this doesn't mean that tomorrow maybe they might be ready. So I believe in respect, and I believe that the work, the resistance is an everyday work. And one of the things that I've been learning is that when we don't respect the time, our space, our spirit, we cannot connect. And that's why I feel so much anguish. And that's why the film Yanuni, I have the feeling I have to run towards the forest. I feel, fortunately or unfortunately, I feel it a lot. It's not only the the smell of things, it's not only the noise. I hear everything and I feel everything at the same time. The energy of the place, of the people. It's something that I feel very intensely. And so
de ambas as partes, de tudo, tanto bom quanto
everything, the bad
Então
and
isso
the good and the
acaba
bad,
pesando,
both.
pesa,
So this
pesa, você
is
fica
very
angustiada, aquele mal no estômago, na
heavy.
respiração,
I
e
feel
tudo, e
anguished,
grávida
and
ainda, eu sentia
and
muito
when I
mais,
was
com muita mais
pregnant, I
intensidade tudo
felt
isso. E
even
naquele
more
meio
deeply
de
all of that.
Brasília, de
And in
muitos interesses,
Brasilia,
daquela
in the
política suja,
political,
corrupta,
that
e
corrupted
que
politics
queria só jogar a gente fora
that
dali,
wanted only to
foi
take us
demais
out
para
of
o meu
there.
espírito,
It was too
né?
much for my
Então não
spirit.
tinha, não conseguia respirar.
So
Por
I
isso que ao
couldn't
voltar para a
breathe
floresta,
sometimes.
né,
So when I went back
a
to the
receber
forest,
a cura da floresta
when
por
I
meio dos
got
cantos,
cured
banho,
from the
a
forest
comida,
through
tudo,
the chants, the
é,
food, the natural food,
voltar e se fortalecer
and
e se limpar,
getting strong again,
limpar o
and
espírito,
getting
né? Não só o material, mas
cleanse my
sobretudo o
spirit,
espírito.
not only
Então,
materially but
quando a
spiritually,
gente se permite,
especially.
quando a
So
gente
when we allow
entende
ourselves,
isso,
when we
você
understand
começa
that,
a
we
realmente
start
a
to
perceber
really
que o maior impacto ele é
see
no
that the
espiritual
greatest
da
impact is
humanidade hoje em dia,
on
não
the
é? E
spirituality
é
of
onde
humankind
a
today.
medicina aqui
And it's
fora ela
where
não trata, ela chega até
outside
no
medicine
psicológico,
cannot
mas ela não
cure.
se aprofunda, ela
It
segue
cannot
medicações.
get to the
Então você tem
psychology,
pessoas cada
but
vez mais
it cannot
adormecidas, né,
cure. So
distante,
we
não
have
só da
people
realidade, mas
who are
desconectada,
dormant,
distante
who are
de si
distant from
mesmo, de si
reality,
mesmo,
but
e
distant
sobretudo
from
do seu próprio espírito,
themselves,
né?
and
Mas
especially
esse é o nosso
distant from
grande
their own
poder que a
spirit.
gente tem.
And this is the great
Então,
power that we
cada
have
todo
within us,
mundo precisa ir
inside of
para a
us.
Amazônia
So
agora para se
everyone
reconectar, e
needs
não
to go
necessariamente
to the Amazon to get
construa
connected.
essa
No,
Amazônia dentro
not
de si. Você
necessarily.
pode
You
ter
can
a sua
build an
Amazônia, e
Amazon
pode não
inside
ser uma
of you.
floresta de
You
pé,
can
pode
have
ser,
your own
né,
Amazon.
um
It
animal,
not
pode
necessarily
ser
a
uma
standing
flor, pode
forest, but
ser,
it can be an
não
animal,
sei o
a
que é, mas
flower.
cada
I don't
tem
know
que buscar
what
a
it
sua
is, but
Amazônia.
each
Diz
person
que a
should
Amazônia é uma
look for their
metáfora que eu
own
estou usando para a gente
Amazon. The
construir para
Amazon
que
is a
você possa se
metaphor.
conectar.
It's something
E
you
que
can connect
essa
to.
é a chave, que é
This is
abrir
the
os
key.
corações,
It's
né? É
to
o
open the
coração. É por isso
hearts.
que
It's
com
the
Yanuni,
heart.
uma coisa
So
que eu
that's
queria
why
nesse
with
filme
Yanuni, the
era poder
one thing I
chegar no
wanted with
coração,
this
no
film
espírito
is
das
to be
pessoas,
able to
romper essas
reach
camadas
the
e
hearts
chegar até
and
lá,
the
porque
spirits to
existe um
break
coração dentro de
those
cada ser,
barriers, because there is a heart
existe,
inside each
tá lá,
being.
tá guardado,
It's
não é? Tá
there.
ali. E a
It's
gente
there, well
transcender essas
hidden and
barreiras
kept. And
é você
for
ajudar a
us to
libertar, é
transcend
você
those
ajudar a
barriers
tocar,
is to help
aonde no dia
touching
a dia está sendo cada
in the
vez
day
mais
to day.
construído com
And
concretos, com cimentos,
it's
essas barreiras
like
para
it's
que as pessoas não consigam se conectar
barriers
de forma real
for
e
people not to
espiritual.
connect really and
Então,
spiritually. This
eu
is what is
passaria horas
built
aqui
in the
falando
outside
contigo,
world. I could
mas
spend
eu
hours
acredito
talking
sobre
to you
muitas
about that,
coisas, mas
but I
tentei
believe a lot of
resumir
things.
de
But
uma
I try
forma
to summarize
não só do individual, mas como
in
do
a way
filme
not
também,
only
dessa guerra
individually,
espiritual
but
na
how I
qual nós
see
estamos
the
vivendo,
world
que não
and
é
this
somente uma guerra
spiritual
pelos nossos últimos
war
recursos
that we
naturais,
experience.
né?
It's not only a
É a
war
guerra
for
do
natural
último
resources.
fôlego
It's
da mãe
the
terra,
war of the
que aqui
last
fora a gente chama
breath
de
of
recursos naturais, mas
Mother
atinge o
Earth.
espírito
We
da
call
floresta, atinge o
outside, we call
espírito
it
da nossa mãe,
natural resources, but it's
que
the
é
spirit
esses
of our
elementos que
Mother
garante
Earth.
isso, né?
These are the
Enfim,
elements that ensure
é isso.
our well-being.
Thank you so much for that. And we could spend hours being in conversation with you. It was such a joy to be in communion with the both of you. Thank you for this beautiful film that you have crafted. And thank you for all your insights today. I wish you all the best. And Juma, you said something in an interview that I would love to close with. And may this film Amazonize the world, and may this film womanize the world. Thank you so much.